Hello, welcome. Andrew Peters here with the short video on the Autotrader Elite. It's a EA or a tool for automating indicator-based strategies, and it now has scaling features as well as basket management features. Quite a powerful instrument. Before we go on, I need to show the disclaimer and risk warning. Forex trading carries a high level of risk, and we need to exercise our own responsibility in dealing with that. There are two ways to use the Autotrader. One is just to use the free set files that are provided. The other one is to make your own strategies. And there's a detailed process described in the user guide to help you do that, as well as a series of training videos. First, let's have a look at using the three set files. And so we open our trading platform. I will have assumed that you will have loaded the EA and the set files into the respective folders on your MT4 platform as described in the user guide. We then open the Aussie Yen H4 chart, and now we go to our navigator panel, expert advisors, double click for the EA that we need. We now need to load. We find our particular file, in which case here is for me this one here. And all we need to do is to enter our email address that you ordered the EA with, and everything else is set. If you wanted to, I've set the default setting is initial lot risk percent of 2%. If you want to be more aggressive, you make it 4. If you want to be more conservative, you can change that, or you can use a direct lot size if you wanted to. But that's, again, we also have a re-entry trade on this thing, so you also need to look at the risk setting for the re-entry trade. In this case, we don't use any scale-ins, so those are 0 and don't touch that. Anything else you don't need to touch, and once you've entered your email address as your password on the top, you can click OK and you're off and running. In order to create strategies, we obviously need to develop one using our indicators and setting up. But once we've done that, it's then a simple matter of adding the attributes onto the properties of the EA. So let's just enlarge that a little bit. So I'll quickly now run through the various features of this EA. The confirmation one is where you can, if you want to double click and set it to true, whatever strategy you're running, when the indicators line up and meet your entry conditions, a little menu will pop up on your screen asking you to confirm as to whether or not you want to take that trade. Alternatively, you can also set up your platform to alert you via email that the EA is now ready to trade. So it's a nice alert feature, and you can use that especially if you're doing long-term trading. You might just want to double check that you're happy with the trade that the EA is going to take. We can hedge with this EA, so just set that to true if you wanted to. You can reverse the entry, so you can set up a strategy which says you should buy something, and if you select this to true, it will do the exact opposite. And sometimes if you've developed a strategy that continues to fail, this can well work. You will need to do some modifications and optimization, but I've got one set file which actually works very nicely on the reverse entry. There are two trading rules for the EA, entry and exit, either an AND condition, so that all indicators must agree that the entry is ready to be triggered, and same for so either an AND or an OR, and the same for the exit. It can either be all indicators need to agree or only one indicator needs to specify the exit. You can enter and close at the candle close or at any time during the particular period. So if you're doing a 4-hour trading on the 4-hour chart, your MAs might cross halfway through, and if you had set that to false, then the trade would be triggered during that bar. Otherwise, it would occur at the close of the bar. Magic numbers you must always set. Initial lot size. and all the traditional trading management features: the take profit, the stop loss, the break even, how many pips you can lock in on a break even, trading stop start, the trading stop itself. So it starts at X and this is trading stop of Y. In how many pip steps do you want to do it? You can do a partial close at a certain percentage at a certain pip distance. And one other one which you may not be familiar with, you can also partially close a losing trade. So these first ones are for when the trade is in profit. The partial close at percent stop loss is when the trade is in a losing condition. Therefore, we enter a minus value. So this is very much like a martingale ability. We have both initial and re-entry trades as possible. So if you're doing a triple moving average, you might have been stopped out of the first trade. However, your long-term moving average still pointing in the right direction. And when the conditions are right, you can re-enter that longer-term trade. We also have a scale-in feature, so a magic number for it. And then you can scale in at a certain risk percent or a lot size. And in this case, I've got it indicating scaling it at 5 pips profit, 15 pips, 50 and 100. So these will be the stop orders, the pending orders that are set if you had this. If you wanted to do any scaling at a negative value, we would just add, say, -10. And now there would be, if your trade goes into negative territory at -10, and you had actually started off with a buy trade, it would put a buy trade in at -10 pips. You cannot mix both negative numbers and positive numbers, so you can either do a martingale and scale in at negative numbers, or do the normal scale in at positive numbers. And then you can set this take profit and the stop loss for these scaling trades, and the break even and the trading stop. You do the normal slippage setting, your order comment, and then we now have the basket management. So you can manage all the trades. If, for instance, if you had a initial trade and 4 scaling trades operating at once, you can treat them all as a basket. So we would set manage by basket to true. And then we can either close them all at take profit in pips, in dollars, or by percent of account balance. So we have a choice of how we want to manage that basket. We can close all at a pips level, at a dollars level, at a percentage of account level. When we come to the break even, we have to do that by pips only. So we can break even at a certain level of pips, lock in a certain level of pips, and do a trading stop at pips. Next, we have our trading session times. You can specify 2 trading sessions during a day. So you might want to trade the Asian and the New York session. Just use set in the hours for there. You can also specify which day of the week that you want to trade. We then come to a whole lot of moving average settings. So you can either have the entry to true and the exit to true. So you can choose either both entry and exit to true, or one or the other. You can specify how many pips the moving average must have crossed before you want action to be taken. The first one is a triple moving average setup, so you have an MA1, an MA2, and an MA3, and you can set all the normal variables on that. We also have multi-time frame moving averages, 3 of them. So if you're trading on the 15-minute chart, but you want to also specify that the moving averages must be in a certain mode on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily, or whatever, you can set your time frame 1. You would specify the period here, for instance, to 60, having set these obviously to true. TF2, you might want to set that to a different time frame. TF2 here, if you set that to true, you might want to do this at 240 and set your different MAs for that You'll notice in the first time frame you can do both an entry and exit. Time frames 2 and 3 are for entry only. You can also the scale-ins, you can exit those by your stop loss, but you can also exit them with a moving average if you wanted to, and that's available here. We then have our RSI settings for entry and for exit. We have MACD settings for entry and exit, and you can actually use the histogram bars and specify different levels of histogram bars. And we then have our moving average of RSI settings here, all of which is described in the manual in quite a bit of detail. The point is that you've got all these variables that you can use in developing a strategy. Once you've done it, you save the strategy, give it a name, and then you can use that in future trading. So that's really all I wanted to say about it. As I said, the user guide explains it all. Quickly, I wanted to show you for the 3 set files that I do provide with a purchase. This is a 3-year back test of the Aussie on the 15-minute chart, the Euro USD on the 15-minute, and the Australian Japanese yen on the 4-hour chart. These are their equity curves, and the dark blue line is the portfolio. So what I always encourage people is to trade a portfolio. And as you can see, even though this might be in a downtrend, that overall, when you run it as a portfolio as a whole, the maximum drawdown we've had occurs here, and it is about 8%. Whereas individually, the Aussie one had about a 30% maximum drawdown, and these other twos had about somewhat less than 20%. But trade them together as portfolio, and we only had a 8% drawdown over the 3-year period from January 2012 to April 2015. Okay, so this is a quick synopsis of how the Autotrader Elite works and how you can use it. If you have any questions, please contact me. Otherwise, I look forward to having you on board. Thank you for watching.